The blue light of distant stars reflected off Dr. Alan Wright's glasses as he stared at the monitor. The signal patterns from Alpha Centauri had changed again. For 3 weeks, he had tracked these anomalies, each one more structured than the last. This was not random cosmic noise. "Computer, run Analysis Protocol 7, he said, voice barely a whisper. The machine hummed. Numbers and charts flashed across the screen. Alan's heart beat faster. The pattern matched nothing in human records. After 20 years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, he had found something. Within hours, the news reached the United Nations Space Command. Within days, the UES Horizon prepared to launch. Captain Olivia Grant stood on the bridge, dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, watching her crew prepare for humanity's most important mission. "Navigation systems check complete, Captain," said Lieutenant Daniel Harris, his fingers dancing across the controls. "All stations report ready," added Commander Sam Foster. Olivia nodded. "Then let's make history. Set course for Alpha Centauri, maximum speed." The Horizon's engines roared to life. Earth grew smaller behind them as they pushed beyond the orbit of Mars, then Jupiter. When they were clear of the solar system, the FTL drive engaged, bending space around the ship. The stars blurred, and humanity took its first real step into the galaxy. The journey took 3 weeks. When they arrived, they found what no human had ever seen before. An enormous vessel, sleek and silver, waiting at the edge of the Alpha Centauri system. "Open communications," Olivia ordered, straightening her uniform. The alien ship responded immediately. The view screen filled with the image of a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the alien said in perfect English. "I am High Counselor Vexor of the Galactic Council. We have been watching your development with great interest." Ambassador Gregory Thompson stepped forward. He had been chosen to speak for all humanity in this moment. "We come in peace and friendship," he said, voice steady despite his racing pulse. "As do we," replied Vexor. "Your species is the 127th to join our interstellar community. We welcome you to the stars." The crew of the Horizon cheered. Back on Earth, when the transmission reached them, celebrations erupted in every city. Humanity was not alone, and their new neighbors seemed friendly. The Xylaxians, as Vexor's species called themselves, invited a delegation aboard their ship, the Celestial Arbiter. Ambassador Thompson led the team, with Captain Grant, Dr. Wright, and a small security detail, including Lieutenant Harris. The alien vessel dwarfed the horizon. Its hallways seemed to stretch for miles, filled with technology beyond human understanding. Beings of all shapes and sizes walked the corridors, some with tentacles, others with wings, all going about their business as members of the vast Galactic Council. The Council governs over 300 species across 12,000 light-years, explained Vexor as they toured the ship. "We maintain peace, facilitate trade, and ensure the responsible use of technology." While the main delegation attended a formal reception, Lieutenant Harris found himself separated from the group. Lost in the massive ship, he wandered into an empty control room. The screens displayed information in an alien language, but his translator device began converting the text. His eyes widened as words appeared. "Containment protocols for primitive species." Harris quickly downloaded the files to his personal device. As footsteps approached, he slipped away, heart pounding against his ribs. The celebrations continued, but a seed of doubt had been planted. What exactly did the Galactic Council mean by containment, and why were these protocols classified? As the Horizon prepared to return to Earth with news of humanity's bright new future among the stars, Harris kept his discovery secret. Something told him that the Galactic Council's welcome might come with strings attached. Strings that could become chains if humanity wasn't careful. 6 months had passed since first contact, and Earth had changed. Alien technology flowed into human markets. Cures for diseases, better farming methods, and cleaner energy transformed daily life. ships from dozens of worlds visited Earth, bringing goods and taking human crafts in return. Lisa Morgan wiped sweat from her forehead as she studied the blueprints for the new joint human-alien shipyard in orbit around Earth. As lead engineer, she had to make sure everything matched the plans provided by the Galactic Council. But something was off. "These power connections don't make sense," she muttered. The design showed systems that seemed weaker than needed. When she asked her Zylaxian supervisor about it, he simply smiled with all four eyes and said it was suitable for human needs. Across the Atlantic, in Washington, D.C., Senator Paul Martinez stood before the United Nations Security Council. His deep voice echoed in the chamber as he pointed to a screen showing the text of the Galactic Accords. "Section 47B limits human ships to Level 3 weapons only," he said, "but the Zylaxians use Level 7 on their patrol vessels. Section 92 restricts our colony expansion to our own solar system for the next 50 years. And Section 115 gives the Council veto power over our scientific research." UN Secretary General Susan Rodriguez shook her head. "Senator, these are standard provisions for new member species. The Council has been nothing but helpful. These are simply growing pains as we join the galactic community." Martinez frowned. "Then why are they putting advisors in all our military bases? Why are they classifying certain research as restricted?" At Vandenberg Space Center, civilian scientist Kevin Barnes watched in disbelief as Galactic Council officials placed seals on his laboratory doors. His team had just made a breakthrough in quantum propulsion theory. Their calculations suggested faster-than-light travel could be much more efficient than the Council's methods. "By order of Directive 17 of the Galactic Accords, this research is now classified," said the tall, thin alien. "Your work will continue under Council supervision." "But this could benefit everyone," Kevin argued. "Why restrict it?" The alien's face remained expressionless. "For safety reasons, young species often rush into technology without understanding the consequences." That evening, Lieutenant Daniel Harris, now working as a liaison officer between Earth's military and the Galactic Council, met Lisa Morgan at a small coffee shop in London. They had connected through a secure channel, both concerned about what they had seen. "The blueprints they gave us for the defense systems are intentionally underpowered," Lisa said quietly. "I checked against their own ships. They're giving us toys while they keep the real weapons." Daniel nodded. "That matches what I found in those files 6 months ago. Look at this." He slid a small data tablet across the table. Lisa's eyes widened as she read. "Containment Zone 127. That's us, isn't it? Earth's solar system." "The Council has done this before," Daniel said. "They find promising species, welcome them with open arms, then slowly box them in. Any species that shows too much potential gets contained until they can be properly guided." Lisa looked up. "Guided or controlled?" "Exactly." Daniel took back the tablet. "And there's more. The Council just announced a new protection fleet to be stationed in Earth orbit. For our safety, they say." "Protection or prison guards?" Lisa asked. Daniel's face was grim. Senator Martinez is the only one asking questions, but no one's listening. The Council keeps humanity busy with shiny new toys while they build a cage around us. Outside the window, a massive alien ship passed overhead, its shadow darkening the street for a moment. More arrived every day. Earth celebrated its new place in the galaxy, blind to the fine print of the deal they had signed. But a few humans were beginning to see the truth, and they wouldn't stay quiet for long. Daniel Harris walked through the gleaming corridors of the Galactic Council headquarters station. As Earth's liaison officer, he had access to many areas. His blue uniform stood out among the various species that moved about their daily business. For 3 months, he had been gathering information, watching, and listening. Today, his patience paid off. As he passed by a conference room, he heard the words "Containment Zone 127" through the partly open door. He slowed his steps and pretended to check his datapad. "The humans are advancing too quickly," said a raspy voice that Daniel recognized as belonging to a Drakthar, one of the Council's enforcer species. "Their weapons research has progressed despite our restrictions. Their potential exceeds our initial projections," another voice replied. "If they continue at this rate, they could reach level 5 technology in decades, not centuries as we planned." Daniel's heart raced, but he kept his face calm. Level 5 technology included weapons that could threaten even Council ships. No wonder they wanted to hold humanity back. Back on Earth, Lisa Morgan's team worked in secret. The basement of an old factory in Detroit had become their workshop. Here, away from alien eyes, they reverse-engineered pieces of Council technology. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing to a holographic display. "The drive system they gave us operates at 20% efficiency. But with these modifications, we can push it to 70%. Her team of engineers nodded in appreciation. They had been recruited carefully, each chosen for their skills, and their skepticism about the Council's generosity. "If the Council finds out what we're doing," one of them began. Lisa's face hardened. "They won't. And even if they did, they've already overstepped. This is our right as a species, to develop our own technology." At the Pentagon, Admiral Joseph Williams reviewed the reports from space. More Drakthar patrol ships had entered the solar system. Their official purpose was to protect trade routes, but their positions formed a net around Earth's colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan. "Begin Operation Shadow Step," he ordered his staff. "Disguise it as regular training exercises." His aide looked nervous. "Sir, if the Council advisors realize we're preparing for conflict." Williams cut him off with a wave. "They won't see preparation. They'll see humans playing soldier. That's what they expect to see." Across the solar system, human military vessels began seemingly routine maneuvers, but hidden in these movements was a careful dance. Ships positioning themselves for defense, crews training for real combat, weapons being quietly upgraded using Morgan's team's discoveries. On the Galactic Council station, Daniel entered the central database room during the quiet shift. His clearance got him in, but he had only minutes before security protocols would detect his unauthorized access. His fingers flew over the alien interface as he searched for specific files. What he found made his blood run cold. The last species that had resisted Council guidance was called the Nelvari. Their civilization had been obliterated 300 years ago, as an example to others. 7 billion lives wiped out because they refused to stay in their containment zone. And now, the Council was preparing something similar for Earth. A fleet was being assembled, far larger than needed for simple patrols. The file called it Containment Protocol Omega. Military occupation if humanity continued to resist Council restrictions. Daniel downloaded everything he could and slipped out just as alarms began to sound. He had to get this information back to Earth. Time was running out. As Daniel boarded his shuttle back to Earth, a Council announcement echoed through the station. "For the safety of developing worlds and the stability of the galactic community, a protection fleet will be stationed in Earth orbit, effective immediately." The occupation had begun, but humanity was not as helpless as the Council believed. In hidden facilities across Earth and its colonies, Lisa's improved technology was already being installed in ships. Admiral Williams' forces were already in position, and the information Daniel carried would unite Earth's leaders against the true nature of their so-called benefactors. The world leaders gathered in the underground bunker beneath Geneva. The room was silent as they watched the video evidence Daniel Harris had brought from the Galactic Council station. The images showed the destruction of the Nelvari civilization. Cities turned to ash, oceans boiled away, a planet left lifeless. "This is what happens to species that don't follow Council rules," Daniel explained. His face was pale from his narrow escape. Council security forces had chased his shuttle halfway to Earth before he lost them in the asteroid belt. UN Secretary General Susan Rodriguez shook her head in disbelief. "I trusted them. We all did. Admiral Williams stepped forward. "Madam Secretary, we have little time. The Council's protection fleet will reach Earth orbit in 7 days. Once they're in position, we lose our chance to act." General Julia Alvarez, head of Earth's combined military forces, pulled up a holographic display of the solar system. Red dots showed the positions of Council ships. Blue ones marked human vessels. "We've been preparing since Senator Martinez first raised concerns," she said. "Our ships are in defensive positions around every human colony, but we're outnumbered and outgunned if we use conventional tactics." In a secure lab beneath Detroit, Lisa Morgan worked without sleep. Her team had completed the improved drive systems, but now they faced a bigger challenge. The prototype FTL drive she had designed based on Council technology was ready for testing. If it worked, human ships could jump farther and faster than the Council thought possible. "Power levels stable," reported one engineer. "Containment field holding." Lisa nodded and initiated the test sequence. The drive core glowed blue, then white. Energy readings climbed steadily, not spiking as Council drives did. The test mass vanished from the chamber and reappeared in the receiving station exactly as planned. "It works," Lisa whispered. Then louder, "It works. Get Admiral Williams on the line." Back in Geneva, the world leaders debated their options. Some wanted to submit to Council demands. Others called for immediate resistance. "The Galactic Council has formally restricted all human expansion beyond our current colonies," Senator Martinez reminded them. "All faster-than-light research is banned. They claim it's for our safety, but we know the truth. They fear us." A message arrived from Lisa Morgan's team. Admiral Williams read it and smiled for the first time in days. "We have a working prototype of an improved FTL drive," he announced. "One that can outperform their ships. We can begin installation on our stealth vessels immediately." Hope spread through the room. But their planning was interrupted by a transmission from the approaching Council fleet. High Counselor Vexor's 4 eyes stared coldly from the screen. "People of Earth, we have detected unauthorized weapons testing and military maneuvers in your system. For the safety of all, we are implementing Containment Protocol Omega. Your planet will be under direct Council control until your species demonstrates proper responsibility." Secretary General Rodriguez stepped up to the response podium. Her voice was steady as she delivered humanity's answer. "High Counselor, we have reviewed the terms of your galactic accords and found them unacceptable. Humanity does not recognize your authority to restrict our development or expansion. We will not comply with your demands." Vexor's eyes narrowed. "This response has been noted. The Council's decision is final. Our fleet will establish control within 1 Earth week. Resistance will be met with appropriate force." The transmission ended. In the silence that followed, Admiral Williams activated his command channel. "All ships, this is Williams. Operation Breaking Dawn is now active. I repeat, Breaking Dawn is active." Across the solar system, human vessels powered up weapons that should not have existed. On Mars, hidden missile batteries emerged from the red soil. On Europa, beneath the ice, energy cannons aimed skyward. The Council's fleet entered the outer solar system, not knowing that humanity had decided to erase the line the Council had drawn. The battle for Earth's freedom was about to begin. The first shots of the war were fired near the orbit of the Moon. The Drakthar warships, sleek and deadly, approached Earth in tight formation. Their weapons charged, ready to force humanity into submission. They expected little resistance. They were wrong. Captain Frank Richards stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, the newest human warship. His crew was tense but ready. 20 similar vessels formed a defensive line between Earth and the approaching Council fleet. "All stations report ready, Captain," said his first officer. Frank nodded. "Begin Operation Surprise." He opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, launch stealth fighters. Execute attack pattern Echo." Across the human fleet, bay doors opened. Small black ships slipped out, invisible to Council sensors thanks to Lisa Morgan's technology. They moved swiftly toward the Drakthar vessels. On Mars, the battle had already begun. Drakthar landing forces established a beachhead near the main human colony. Their tall, scaled bodies moved with deadly grace as they secured the spaceport. Council leaders had decided to make an example of Mars first, then move on to Earth. General Julia Alvarez watched the Mars battle from her command center on Earth. "They're following the same pattern they used on the Nelveri," she said, "taking outlying colonies first." Admiral Williams nodded. "But we're not the Nelveri." He activated his comm. "Colonel Peter Jones, you are cleared to engage on Mars." Beneath the red Martian soil, hidden bunkers opened. Human soldiers in powered armor emerged, armed with weapons reverse-engineered from Council technology, but improved by Lisa Morgan's team. The Drakthar forces were caught by surprise as humans attacked from positions that weren't on any official maps. Back in lunar orbit, the stealth fighters reached the Drakthar fleet. They fired their weapons, not at the ships, but at specific points in space near them. Localized gravity distortions tore apart the Council's formation, disrupting their shields. "Main fleet, engage," ordered Captain Richards. The Defiant and its sister ships accelerated forward, weapons firing. The Drakthar ships returned fire, their energy beams cutting through space. 3 human ships exploded under the assault. But the Council vessels took damage too, more than they expected from primitive human weapons. In Council space, far from the battle, Daniel Harris activated the network of agents he had placed during his time as liaison. Computer systems failed. Communications broke down. The Council's ability to coordinate their forces was crippled. High Counselor Vexor raged in the Council chamber. "How are they doing this? Their technology should be centuries behind ours." A junior counselor answered nervously. "It appears they have been developing technology in secret, High Counselor. And there's something else. Our ships report their weapons are similar to ours, but somehow more efficient." Vexor slammed his fist on the table. "Impossible. Send more ships. Crush this rebellion before other species get ideas." Back on Earth, Lisa Morgan worked with her team to upload new weapon designs to the factories. "The Council relies on energy-based weapons," she explained. "But they've never thought to combine them with kinetic impacts. Our hybrid weapons are cutting through their shields." The battle for lunar orbit raged for hours. Human ships took heavy losses, but for every one that fell, they destroyed a Council vessel. The Drakthar commanders were shocked. This was not how containment operations usually went. On Mars, Colonel Jones' forces pushed the Drakthar back to their landing zone. In space, Captain Richards ordered a final push. "All remaining ships, concentrate fire on their flagship," he commanded. The Defiant led the charge, its engines glowing with the power of Lisa's improved drive. It weaved through enemy fire, launching missiles that shifted in and out of normal space thanks to the new FTL technology. The Drakthar flagship, a massive vessel 3 times the size of the Defiant, shuddered as the humans' weapons found their mark. Its shields failed. Its hull cracked. Finally, it exploded in a burst of light that momentarily outshone the sun. The remaining Council ships retreated, jumping to FTL to escape. For the first time in the Galactic Council's long history, a containment operation had failed. Humanity had not only crossed the line drawn for them, they had begun to erase it. The Galactic Council's central communications hub floated in space near the massive gas giant they called Nexus Prime. It was considered untouchable, protected by layers of security and the most advanced defense systems in the galaxy. No unauthorized ship had ever approached within 10,000 kilometers. Until today, Daniel Harris and his team of 12 Special Forces soldiers drifted silently toward the station in a ship that, according to Council sensors, did not exist. Their vessel used the most advanced stealth technology Lisa Morgan had developed, bending light and other energy around them. 2 minutes to contact, whispered Lieutenant Amy Foster, the pilot. Her fingers moved steadily over the controls. guiding them between automated defense satellites. Daniel checked his weapon one last time. Remember, we need 15 minutes at the central core. Plant the devices, then we're out. The soldiers nodded. Each carried specialized equipment designed to interface with and sabotage Council systems. After months of studying Council technology, Daniel knew exactly where their weaknesses lay. The stealth ship attached to an emergency airlock. Cutting through the security was easy with the codes Daniel had stolen during his time as liaison. The team moved through empty corridors, avoiding the few staff members on duty. Meanwhile, in a hidden shipyard orbiting Jupiter, Lisa Morgan watched as the final adjustments were made to a fleet of new stealth vessels. Each carried her improved FTL drive and weapon systems. "All ships report ready, Ma'am," said the yard supervisor. Lisa nodded. "Launch on my mark." She opened a secure channel to Admiral Williams. "Operation Blind Spot is ready, Admiral." Williams' voice came through clearly. "Execute." Lisa gave the order. 50 stealth ships slipped out of the shipyard and vanished into FTL. Unlike normal jumps that followed predictable routes, these ships could appear anywhere, a capability the Council thought impossible. At the communications hub, Daniel's team reached the central core. The vast room was filled with crystalline computers that coordinated all Council communications across thousands of light years. "Plant the devices according to the plan," Daniel ordered. 6 minutes until the guard change. The soldiers moved quickly, attaching small devices to specific nodes. These weren't simple bombs. They were sophisticated hacking tools that would give humanity access to all Council communications while feeding false information back to Council leaders. On Earth, Admiral Williams stood in the Global Command Center with Secretary General Rodriguez and General Alvarez. A massive display showed the positions of all human and Council forces across the solar system. "Protocol sundering begins now," Williams said. Across the display, blue dots representing human ships suddenly appeared in multiple Council systems simultaneously. The stealth fleet had arrived at their targets, critical Council infrastructure that supported their military operations. Captain Richards led the most important mission. His ship, repaired after the lunar battle, appeared near the Drakthar homeworld defense grid. Before the surprise defenders could react, his weapons fired, targeting specific nodes in the network. The pattern of attacks had been carefully calculated to create a cascade of failures through the entire system. Back at the communications hub, alarms suddenly blared. "They've detected us," Lieutenant Foster warned. "We're done anyway," Daniel replied, placing the final device. "Fall back to extraction point." As they ran back toward their ship, Council security forces appeared at both ends of the corridor. The human soldiers returned fire, creating a path to escape. In the Council chamber, High Counselor Vexor watched in disbelief as reports flooded in from across Council space. Human ships had appeared in 12 systems simultaneously. Critical infrastructure was under attack. The Drakthar homeworld defense grid had collapsed. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "No species has this capability." A communications officer burst into the chamber. "High Counselor, our encryption has been broken. All secure channels are compromised." On Mars, human forces had pushed the Drakthar invaders back to their last stronghold. Colonel Jones led the final assault personally, his powered armor allowing him to match the naturally stronger aliens in combat. As news of the attack spread, several previously subjugated species began to question Council leadership. Voices that had been silent for centuries grew louder. The unthinkable was happening. The Council's authority was being challenged not just by humans, but by others who saw hope in humanity's resistance. Daniel's team fought their way back to their ship, losing 3 soldiers in the process. As they detached from the station and activated their stealth systems, Daniel sent the activation signal. Throughout the communications hub, the devices came online, giving humanity eyes and ears in the very heart of Council operations. News of human resistance spread like wildfire through the galaxy. Species that had lived under council rule for centuries watched with growing hope as humanity fought back against forces that should have crushed them easily. On a dozen worlds, protests began. On others, open rebellion. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Many seats remained empty as representatives of minor species chose to distance themselves from what was happening. "We must crush this rebellion immediately," High Counselor Vexor insisted, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in stress. "If humanity succeeds, the entire order we have maintained for millennia will collapse." A delegate from the Corvish, a species known for their caution, spoke up. "Perhaps we should negotiate. The humans have shown capabilities we did not expect. A peaceful resolution." "Negotiate," Vexor interrupted, "with primitives who have violated every containment protocol. Never." Unknown to the Council, their entire session was being broadcast throughout Council space thanks to Daniel Harris devices in the communications hub. Every word Vexor spoke turned more species against the Council. On the edges of known space, a delegation of human ships met with representatives of the Altharians. Long thought extinct after a conflict with the Council centuries ago, they had been hiding in the shadows, rebuilding their civilization. "We have watched your fight against the Council with great interest," said Elder Sora, her crystalline form glittering in the light of the meeting chamber. "For too long, we have hidden. Now we offer our alliance." Ambassador Gregory Thompson bowed respectfully. "Humanity welcomes the friendship of the Altharian people. Together, we can end the Council's tyranny." On Earth, Lisa Morgan's team made another breakthrough. Working with data from captured Council ships, they developed technology to neutralize Council weapon systems. The Council's weapons all operate on the same frequency principles, Lisa explained to Admiral Williams and General Alvarez. "We can broadcast a counter-frequency that disrupts their targeting systems." "Can we deploy it fleet-wide?" Williams asked. Lisa nodded. "Production begins today. All ships can be equipped within 72 hours. Meanwhile, Daniel Harris had returned from his mission and now worked to negotiate with Council minority factions seeking peace. Meeting in secret on a neutral trading station, he spoke with representatives from 7 species. "The Council has lied to all of us," he told them. "They've held back technology, restricted development, and destroyed any who resist. Humanity doesn't want to replace the Council with another tyrant. We want a galaxy where all species can develop freely." One by one, the representatives pledged support. Some offered ships, others intelligence, and some simply promised to stay neutral in the coming conflict. On Mars, the last Drakthar forces surrendered to Colonel Jones. The Red Planet was free again. Similar victories occurred on Europa and Titan as humanity reclaimed its colonies. Admiral Williams gathered the largest fleet ever assembled by humans, over 200 ships, plus 50 Altharian vessels that had emerged from hiding. They set course for the Galactic Core, where the Council headquarters orbited. "This is the final push," Williams told his captains. "The Council believes they are the natural rulers of the galaxy. Today we prove them wrong." Captain Richards led the vanguard in his ship, now renamed Phoenix after being rebuilt following damage in earlier battles. His crew, veterans of multiple engagements, moved with quiet confidence. As the combined fleet approached Council space, they were joined by ships from other species, former Council enforcers who had changed sides, merchant vessels converted to warships, ancient battle cruisers brought out of mothballs. What had begun as humanity's fight for survival had become a revolution. High Counselor Vexor received the news of the approaching fleet with growing panic. His own forces were scattered across the galaxy, trying to contain multiple rebellions. Council member species were withdrawing support, and now a massive fleet approached the heart of Council power. For the first time in his long life, Vexor felt fear, not just for himself, but for the entire system the Council had maintained for thousands of years, a system that now faced its greatest challenge from a species that should have been safely contained. The Galactic Council headquarters was a massive space station that had orbited the same star for 5,000 years. Its gleaming spires and vast domes represented the power and permanence of Council rule. No enemy had ever reached it, until now. The combined fleet of human, Altharian, and allied ships dropped out of FTL in perfect formation. Nearly 400 vessels against the Council's remaining defenders, 200 ships hastily recalled from across the galaxy. Admiral Williams stood on the bridge of his flagship. Open a channel to all vessels, ours and theirs. When the channel was ready, he spoke calmly. This is Admiral Joseph Williams of Earth. We do not wish to destroy you. Power down your weapons and withdraw from Council service. Join us in building a better galaxy. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, 30 Council ships broke formation and moved aside. Their captains had seen enough of Council rule to choose a different path. High Counselor Vexor watched in rage from his command center as his fleet shrank. Fire on the traitors, he ordered. Show them the price of disobedience. Council loyalists opened fire on their former comrades. Admiral Williams immediately ordered his fleet to protect the defectors. The final battle had begun. Captain Richards led a wing of fast attack ships straight toward the Council's main defense station. This massive weapons platform could destroy dozens of ships with a single blast. We need to take out that station, Richards told his crew. Prepare for attack run. His ship, the Phoenix, accelerated toward the target, followed by 20 others. Council guns tracked them, energy beams slicing through space. 3 human ships exploded, then 5 more. We're not going to make it, Richards' first officer warned. Richards looked at his crew. It's been an honor. He opened a channel to Admiral Williams. This is Richards. We're going to ram the station. Tell Earth we did our part. The Phoenix changed course, aiming directly for the station's main reactor. Council guns concentrated fire on the ship. Its shields failed. Hull plating melted away, but its momentum carried it forward. The Phoenix crashed into the station, its remaining weapons firing directly into the reactor core. The explosion ripped the station apart, leaving the Council headquarters vulnerable. The tide of battle turned. Without the defense station, the remaining Council ships were outmatched by the combined fleet. One by one, they surrendered or retreated. On Earth, Lisa Morgan watched the battle telemetry with her team. When the Council defense station exploded, they cheered. Richards, she whispered, a tear sliding down her cheek. They had worked together developing the new drive systems. Now he was gone. Inside the Council headquarters, High Counselor Vexor ran for his private shuttle. Guards fell behind him as human and allied forces boarded the station. He reached the hangar, only to find Daniel Harris waiting. It's over, Vexor, Daniel said simply. The containment era is done. Vexor snarled and reached for a weapon. Before he could fire, Altharian guards disabled him with stun weapons. The High Counselor, who had ruled for 2 centuries, was taken into custody, whimpering in fear. 2 weeks later, representatives from 87 species gathered in the former Council chamber. Ambassador Thompson stood at the central podium, where once only Council members could speak. Today we begin a new chapter in galactic history, he said. No longer will any species claim the right to contain or control others. Today we form the Galactic Assembly, where all may have a voice. The chamber erupted in cheers. Among the delegates, Daniel Harris sat with Lisa Morgan, who had been named Earth's science representative. We found something interesting in the Council archives, Daniel told her. 23 other species are currently under containment protocols. We're sending ships to free them. Admiral Williams entered the chamber to more cheers. He had become a symbol of the resistance. As he took a seat near Thompson, he spotted a familiar face, Captain Richards, bandaged but very much alive. He had been found in an escape pod, badly injured but surviving against all odds. Later that day, as the new charter was signed, Daniel stood with Lisa on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. They drew a line in the sand, Daniel said quietly. Told us not to cross it. Lisa smiled. We didn't just cross it, she replied. We erased it completely. In the vastness of space, ships from dozens of worlds set course for home, carrying news of freedom. The age of containment was over. The age of cooperation had begun.